Now, to our panelists, as we talk a little bit about these trade developments, especially with Mexico, we have Susan Lee here in studio with me in New York and Pacer ETFs President Sean O'Hara. I'll go to you, Susan, in a moment on the Canadian side of it, which Edward was just getting to. But, Sean, no ambiguity on where the market stands on all of this. Stocks were way up even before we knew of any details and even before we'd filled up any blanks. I guess just the progress or the hint of progress on trade was good enough, right? What do you make of the rally today?
I think it's probably a fair indication of what the sentiment is. I think, the overall economy's been strong. Earnings have been really strong. The stock market has been held back by some of the uncertainty around trade. And then I think as the president and his negotiators start to go through the process of sort of knocking these off one at a time, Europe was first. Now Canada, I'm sure they'll get, now Mexico, then I'm sure they'll get Canada.
Right.
And then perhaps maybe they'll be able to present a united front against China so that we can ultimately get a better deal there. All that, I think, is viewed as very, very positive news for the market. I think that's why you're seeing short-term rally. And maybe we'll start to see the market kind of get in line with what the overall fundamentals are saying about it as well.
All right, we'll talk about that in a second. But to Sean's logical progression there, Susan, of where things go from here, what about the part where he brought up, I'm sure they'll get Canada in line? I know you've been in contact with those in the Canadian government today. Is that fair, or are we getting a little ahead of ourselves there?
Some breaking news that was just announced is that Chrystia Freeland, the Canadian Trade Minister, is cutting short her European trip. She is on her way to Washington, D.C. for more negotiations.
That's a good sign.
That's a good sign. But, they've stopped talking to the U.S. for the past 5 weeks because they wanted Mexico and the U.S. to hash out their own differences. This was kind of intended. This was their strategy. So now that they have a bilateral, I think that negotiations will probably kick off in more earnest with Canada at this point. But a deal's not done. I think we forget the most important part of that press conference is that NAFTA stays in place until the U.S. and Canada, U.S. and Mexico sign a new deal.
And the deal, the sticking points real quick with Canada?
Has always been the sunset clause, which is interesting with this Mexico deal because it's a 6-year. It's basically a sunset clause in this new bilateral that they just signed between U.S. and Mexico.
Right.
So I'm surprised. I don't know what this means for Canada, but maybe, if Mexico's willing to go on with this, maybe Canada will take a different look at it now.
It was a 16-year deal with this 6-year review, which allows
which has consequences, they say, to probably rechange the accord at some point.
It was an interesting way of doing it, kind of getting around the technical sunset clause, which had held it up. It was interesting the way they did that. Sean, to go back to you on markets. So we're up 253 right now on the Dow, and you talked a moment ago about catching up or getting back to where the fundamentals say we should be, meaning what?
Well, meaning that, in the first 2 quarters of this year, earnings were very, very strong, somewhere in the 20% or 20% plus. Quarter over quarter or year over year growth rate, yet the only major broad-based index that's up anywhere near that year to date is the NASDAQ 100, which is heavily weighted towards technology. So I think the market is trying to find a way to go forward here. Right. These impediments have been in the way, and if we can get some of these out of the way, I think that the market, should continue to move higher.
Well, one impediment would have been the Fed, right, Sean, that people talked about. And then last week you get comments from Jay Powell that are seen as dovish, I suppose, and then the market rallies on that. And the other impediment would be what we're talking about today, which is trade. In your view, Sean, how far does today's developments go to knocking that out of the way as an impediment? It would seem to me that there's still room to go here because China's the big one, right?
Yeah, I think that's the big one, but it certainly starts moving things in that direction, and it certainly tilts the balance of power, if you will. The president's been pretty consistent on this in spite of a lot of naysayers saying that what he's doing is dangerous and will have a bad result. But at the end of the day, you just can't argue with the results. The results have been pretty solid with regard to what he said he was going to do, and he's keeping another campaign promise here as a result of what he's doing.
And he mentioned China in the press conference as well. He says talks are not going well. China is asking for too much, and it's surprising that the markets didn't really move at all on that since we have 25% on $200 billion upcoming in just a few weeks.
What do you think of that, Sean? That there was the market wanted to go higher today. Let's be honest. The way it was focused on the good news, which was seen as a win for the president on trade, progress to the point you made earlier. But as Susan says, there is a long way to go here, and could get uglier in the near term rather than more friendly with the Chinese, if anything, Sean.
Well, I mean, if you watch what the president has done, I think what he's saying is he's willing to let it get as ugly as it has to get in order to get what he wants, which is not necessarily a complete and absolute win versus these other trading partners, but an improvement from what he views as just really, really bad deals. So he's giving
better deals,
some room or some way out for China by saying it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's got to be better.
The question is whether the Chinese take that way out, that off ramp, and how long does it take them? Sean, thanks. Good to see you.
They're hurting a lot. They're hurting a lot more than we are right now when you look at the overall stock market returns, and don't discount what that means inside the country.
There isn't a lot of stock market ownership. It's not the same as the U.S.
That's kind of been the big argument.
Very different.
The big argument: how long can they withstand it? Everybody agrees that they're under some sort of pain. The question is, how long can they withstand that pain? And I don't know. We'll resume it some other time because we're out of time on this particular discussion. But good to see you, Sean, and great to see you, Susan, as always.
Thank you so much.